Hey, Christopher here with another episode of Geared Up for Summer. And today we're sitting down with Amy of Pack and Paddle to talk about her role as manager and the things that they do. But before we get into this video, let's roll that beautiful B-roll. Amy, thank you for sitting down with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to sit down with y'all. It's always nice visiting with you.
Tell us, what do you do here? First off, where do you work and what do you do here?
Yeah, I work for Pack and Paddle and I'm the manager here. I've been here 18 years now and I've worn a lot of different hats, including pulling weeds in the flower bed.
These are things that when they hired you, you're like, yeah, I'm willing to do anything. And then you're like pulling weeds, be like, well, anything was all encompassing. So over the 18 years, what are some of your favorite memories here? Like pick like two things that if you can't, I'm sure you've had lots of great memories here. What are two specific standout memories that you're like, these were really special moments for me, or moments as a company or a store that you felt like were special?
The two topics that kind of come to mind, and then I'll have to narrow in on a specific, would be working with staff that they come in to Pack and Paddle in a chapter in their life that's between things. And they're seeking to connect with the outdoors themselves. Yeah. And they're seeking to find a new way and perspective to have on life, and being able to train them and help them to help others. Yeah. And seeing them transition over time, and then eventually their chapter ends and they move on to something else. But that relationship continues.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I also think about the customers who, you wouldn't think it, but we do some therapy here.
I believe it.
People come in, and one that sticks out in my head very vividly, that was about 7 years ago, was a gentleman that I helped, and he was a very kind, sweet spirit, but I could tell when he first came in that he was hesitant to socialize. Yeah. And we got him set up with a kayak. He came to my Kayaking 101 course, and then he came in for some water shoes later on, and his daughter pulled me aside and said, I really want to thank you. And I'm like, for what? You know, yeah. I'm just doing,
doing
me.
My job.
I'm doing me, and she says, because this was the first place and time that my dad actually interacted and was socializing after my mother passed away from cancer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We don't think about, well, I do, human kindness. It's even more than just decency. It's human kindness and an effort to care for people that comes through in interactions that a lot of, you can tell when it's present in a culture for a company or a store or an environment. And sometimes the absence of it is noticeable. And these are the stories to me, like when we come in as an IT person, you feel like an attorney almost, like they're sharing things with you, like there's attorney-client privilege here that I would not normally hear. I feel like I got a first-class education on humanity when I started consulting, because I got to know people at a level and I was like, this is what society's really like. Here are the struggles, here are the values, here's what they care about, here's the temperament. Here are the things that are the everyday mundane things that I didn't understand. But people just shared so in depth and deeply with me in ways that I didn't feel comfortable at the time. Like, I have no problem caring for people, but I'm like, I'm thinking I'm here to fix a printer, but they're sharing about some of their personal struggles with medical stuff or relational stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say right now. And then as time went on, I began to realize that in customer service, there's often things that go beyond that you do that make a huge impact on people. And you don't really realize it until later, what you were to them. And it reminds you that A, you matter, beyond your job role, right? But B, that what you do and you say can leave a lasting impression that goes far beyond the sale. And that I think that we exist for more than just our jobs, right? I live for more just than making a living. That's something I've been pondering on lately. What do I do with my life? I have a life purpose, but it's more than just working. It's more than just making a living. It's more than just these things. And I'd rather be a good person and then have an exceptional career. And I think you can do both. I think that both of those can happen. But when it comes to one over the other, that's something that drives me a little bit deeper than just being a technical professional. And that story reminds us of that. So as a manager, tell us what you have to do. What's your daily routine look like here?
So daily routine is not a routine.
I was waiting for that to be like, well, it's consistently inconsistent.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have processes and we have structure. And what I do as a manager is analyze a constantly evolving situation and set up our staff for success in interacting with the customer. So it's constantly evolving. From having a way to process incoming calls and social media changing things during COVID having to respond to that to where it's like, okay, we now need an iPhone so that we can FaceTime with our customers. And just constantly adapting to what that need is.
If things really did change in 2020 for a lot of businesses, because the idea of, we're often feel close to our customers because of physical proximity. They show up, we're here, we interact, we rub elbows literally with them, and all of a sudden COVID comes in and we're literally social distancing. We're unsure about like, how does that work? Safety, how does the environment, like there's all these questions, and it really just changed the landscape. For us, we panicked. We were scared. We're like, okay, what do I do? My schedule went from training on premise in Texas and traveling the country 4 to 5 weeks a year to all my classes for the foreseeable future stopped. With no hope or any kind of inclination that there would be, some kind of remote learning. There eventually would, but it was just like, what? And then for us, everything geared up really quickly because everyone like you started to pivot to these, okay, we've got to do remote stuff. We've got to have Zoom. We've got to have this. We've got to have VPN. We've got to have all this stuff. And all of a sudden we got busy, but it was one of the things where there was a moment of fear, and then we had to adapt and then help others adapt. And so that was a huge, huge change. Well, that's it for this part of the interview, but we're going to come back for a part 2. Thank you for sitting down, sharing your really incredible, touching story about that customer experience. That's really, really cool.
You're welcome. It was great to sit down with you.
Absolutely. Well, for those of you watching, I hope you enjoy this content. If you could, hit that like button on the video, crush the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with everything that we are producing. As always, we hope you're doing well. We hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you in the next one.